Mothers of War.
The What If Show, hosted by Darius Davis, where real issues meet real people, where culture meets college paths. From community leaders to athletes, activists to everyday voices. If it matters to people, it matters here.
Where the truth, you know, ain't the only truth that exists.
What if change started with a conversation?
Every street got a story, every block got a legend, every city got a what if, every rumor got a message. We take the myth, the whispers in the night, flip the script, shine a light, turn the shadows into sight. What if studio?
The What If Show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, today I have Councilman Mitchell with me today. My name is Darius Davis. This is the What If Show. Everybody, please like and subscribe to the What If Show, and I'm glad to have you, Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, and so right now, Councilman Mitchell, just kind of do a brief introduction, kind of tell people who may not know you a little bit about yourself.
So I'm born and raised in Montgomery, from North Montgomery. I went to elementary school at Resurrection. I went to Goodwin Middle School, and I graduated from Robert E. Lee at the time. I also have 2 degrees from Alabama State University. I have been an entrepreneur. I own a mobile car wash for about 13 years. I also worked with Montgomery Public School System for about 17 years. And I have been a city councilman. This is my 2nd term. So almost 7 years now.
Awesome, man. That's glad to hear, man. Me personally, myself, I'm not originally not from Montgomery, but I've lived in the Montgomery area about the last 15 years, and especially in the North Montgomery area. I've did a lot of things. I've taught in the area the last 4 or 5 years. At formerly Lee High School, but now it's Percy Julian High School.
Julian, yes.
Yeah, I taught history there, and also, I run like an AAU basketball team. So I'm kind of well vetted in the community, and I've been hearing a lot about your work. So I kind of wanted to ask you a lot about that.
Okay.
So growing up in Montgomery, what kind of shaped you the most?
Having my father in the household with me. My dad, to this day, we talk every day. My dad was the first Black postmaster here in the city of Montgomery. So he has always been right or wrong. My dad has always been by my side. He has always guided me, and I have always looked up to him and say, hey, if I wanted to be anything, I wanted to be the hero that was actually in my household that I saw the most. So I always tried to, follow my dad's footsteps.
Awesome, man. That's a great story, man. I kind of tried to do the same thing in myself. I have some sort of similar story to yours. So kind of what inspired your career in public service and education?
So in education, my mom, she passed in 2010 from cancer. By the time we found out, she was already in stage 4. But my mother had been in education her entire career. She taught on every level for us. Before teachers was able to get hired in Montgomery, they used to have to travel to places like Alex City. So my mom used to get up every morning with a crew of probably 4, driving all the way to Alex City because they could not get jobs here in the city of Montgomery. But she did start off at St. Jude. She worked at Mount Meigs. So my mother was my driving force behind education. I have two other brothers. There's one taught at Carver for 29 years. The other one is on the secondary level. He's a dean of a university college in North Carolina. So we have always been inspired by my mom to follow in her footsteps for his education.
Awesome. I know that you have a family oriented in education. That's a brilliant thing. So I know you're closely related to schools. You do a lot of work with schools. So what kind of challenges are you seeing in schools right now?
So my primary job is I'm a hearing officer for Montgomery Public School System. So I hear those students that's being put up for due process. That means they're being put up to be expelled from Montgomery Public Schools. So the biggest issue that we are seeing now, things that happen in the communities are starting to spill over into the schools. So this is the first year that I have already, before the year is over, I have already expelled probably 8 students. Out of those 8 students, 4 of them were female students. We are seeing a lot of uptick in fights with female students. Females are being more aggressive. You know, most time when male students say on site, that mean that we gonna talk and they gonna walk past each other. But these girls are actually saying on site, and they are fighting in, groups. It's not like one-on-one. They are actually multiple girls at one time. So we are seeing probably the biggest uptick we have seen in a long time for us fighting in schools.
Wow, that's big time, especially for our viewers that are not close connected with schools, and I'm glad you were able to give them that insight. I'd also like to ask you closer. I know you guys have been looking at that and kind of asking questions about it and trying to figure out some solutions to do things about those type of instances from the community pouring in some issues with the community. Are there some solutions that you guys have kind of came up with to deal with these issues?
We have Family Guidance have the SOS called Save Our Streets, and we also have the Office of Violence and Prevention that's with the city, and we're asking them to come in on a consistent basis because that's what they need, consistency. A lot of those kids don't have those mentors that's actually in the house that can guide them in the right direction. So we're trying our best to make sure that we get these nonprofit organizations actually in the school and doing what every nonprofit said that they're going to do. They're going to help the community. So we have really been reaching out to them and say, we really need your help because you're part of this community. And if our youth don't step up and take over for the future, we don't have any future. So that's why I try to do so many of my projects are geared towards young individuals.
Awesome. And I know you mentioned you talked about projects and things of that nature, and I kind of want to add to that, ask about that a little bit. How do we keep these students engaged and motivated in this day and time?
Oh man, it's hard. You have to bring somebody that they connect with. Like you and I can go, you was a teacher at Percy Julian, you and I can go in there and tell them all day, hey, listen, don't go this way. Don't go that way. But if you have somebody that they connect with, some of these popular local rappers that they follow, some of these creators that they follow, I think, and that's what we have to do. We have to bring in people that they can connect with. You and I, they might say, oh, them old heads, that's Unc. Unc don't know what he's talking about. But when you have somebody that's not too far removed from where they are, I think the message will come over much better than you and I that's totally far removed from what they're going through or what they're seeing.
And that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. I've definitely noticed that. I even come up with programs within my classroom that I try to not necessarily play some of the music, but I try to relate, things like that with the students, and it works well. So what role do parents and the community play in dealing with students and dealing with kids?
They play a big role. And we see those schools that don't have a lot of parent involvement with high numbers for as attendance, high numbers for as discipline. In those schools that you have a big parent enrollment, some of those things are down. And we have to get our parents. And I know that it's not like it used to be when you have 2 parents in the household. So if dad can't make it to a PTA meeting, mother will make it. Now, a lot of these students are being raised by grandmothers, aunties. And so the burden is really heavy on these parents nowadays. And I hate to say it, some parents just don't care or don't get involved. I don't want to say they don't care, but they don't get involved until something happened at the school. And so that's why I tell my parents anytime that I meet in these due process, hey, do you have their password so you can go make sure that they're in class? Do you have their password so you can check their grades? Are you getting their progress report? So if they're checking their grades, their attendance, their progress report, when they get their report card, it shouldn't be any surprise of what they're doing actually in school.
That's true. That is so true. I know I've heard you spoken several times and several occasions about youth sports. And I've seen you had several events and things of that nature dealing with youth sports. So why is this so important for our kids?
Man, because I was an athlete. Like I said, I played sports through my entire life, and sports it delayed me getting into trouble. I made sure my coaches made sure my coaches were some of the greatest mentors I have ever came across, because your coach is going to give you the unsaturated truth. The coach has more, I guess, leeway than your principals and your teachers, because your coaches can talk to you rough, and you go home and tell your parents, "Hey, my coach said, hey, your parents going to support your coach." That's how it used to be. And so I knew if I had an out, or if I had a vessel that I wouldn't have went in some of the directions I would have went in, sports was that vessel. Sports give us an opportunity to get in some doors that we may not be able to get into. And so that's why I try to do everything. The sports is to get them in. I just want to get them in. Once I get them in the door, now I can lay on those other projects that we have. Now I can bring in those mentors. But you have to get those individuals in the door. And I tell everybody, no, everybody's not going to go to church. But at one time, somewhere, they had to be in somebody's school. So we have to meet them. And I've been telling my church pastors, we got to meet them where they are. And where they are inside the schools. Because once they drop out or graduate, it's hard to reclaim them. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm like, hey, you know what? I can connect them with sports, because when we grew up, we had different areas of time. I stayed in North Montgomery. They used to bus in kids all the way from West Montgomery, and those kids, we used to fight. But when it was sports time, those different sides came together for one common cause, and that was for football, basketball, baseball. And that's where the camaraderie came in, that, hey, you know what? Even though I might not like this young man before I met him, but now we on the same team. And so when you're on the same team, you look out for one another, whether it don't matter what side of town you come from. And so that's what I'm trying to bring when I do these events for the youth. When it comes to basketball, I do flag football for the girls. I make sure that we are building those bridges between each other's from the whole entire city, and just instead of saying that, hey, I don't deal with them because they from another side. If we can kill some of the conflict that we are having because everything now is clicked up between neighborhoods, streets. And so we are trying to just remove those cliques and those barriers that those kids might encounter.
Awesome, man. That is a great observation, man. And I'm so proud that you're involved in that. Another thing I wanted to ask you was about, are we as a community, like the city of Montgomery, are we investing enough in youth programs locally?
We can never invest. I mean, we can never invest enough. Like I said, we have so many programs that we can do. But like I said, like everything else, funding is limited. So we have to sometimes choose what programs we want to do. Just like with me, I make sure not only I do sports, but I do education as well. Every year I do a reading and math camp at Trenton, geared towards 4th and 5th graders to help them prepare for their ACAPs. So I make sure that I take whatever money I have and invest back into the community, not only with sports, but with education as well.
Awesome. And I know growing up, you might have had some challenges in life. Can you tell me some things that kind of helped you get through those challenges that you experienced younger in life?
The biggest thing that helped me get through, I had a wonderful support team. When I say any event that I did, whether it was academics, whether it was sports, I had one of my parents in the stands, in the audience, making sure that I was prepared. My dream was to, like every kid was, hey, I want to go to the NBA. My mom, sent me to all type of basketball camps. So it's the support for me. I had the best support from my parents and not only my parents, but in the neighborhood that I came from, we were family. We played football together. If my parents couldn't take me to the game, my next door neighbor, because we all played on the same league, they would take us to the game. So not only I had support from my parents, I had support from probably my neighbors that was in close proximity of my house. If I did something, they was on the phone calling my parents, hey, Orande out here cutting, but they didn't have to do that because they was going to get on to me and then they was going to call. And that's what molded me. That's what made me who I am, because the rearing I had from my entire neighborhood. And I still go out to my old neighborhood because some of the people that raised me still stay out there. And they're so proud that, hey, they'll tell me in a minute, I used to change your pamper. Now I see you on TV. And that's the prodigy of what they created. They poured into me. And that's what you see. You see a product of being poured into by multiple people and multiple families in Brookview.
Awesome. I do want to ask you this question also. I know, like you said, like many of us, we had some stumbles, roadblocks in the way. And I know you probably had a few yourself. So what was the thing that helped you kind of turn things around, that helped you change and go a different direction in your life?
When I had to stand in front of that judge, and that judge had my life and my faith in his hands, I said I never wanted any man to have to judge me again. And I gave my freedom and my opportunity to somebody else. That's what made me change when I stood in front of that courtroom and the judge was able to say my minimum and my maximum sentence. At that point, I was like, hey, I would never want to put my faith in another human being hands. And so that was the change. That was the turning point when that judge gave me an opportunity for a second chance. I said I would never be in front of another judge on anything like this, and I have not been. Not even for a speeding ticket. So that was the day that I said, you know what? This is the day that I'm going to change my life and the way that I'm living. And what was the outside of that? It was the day that my mom passed away because she didn't get the opportunity to see who I am today. And everything I do, I try to make sure that my mom is proud of the decisions and the person who I am today. So it was two things: the passing of my mom and standing in front of a judge that has my faith in his hands.
Awesome, man. That's a great thing to hear, man. I'm so proud that you were able to change things around and
Yes,
turn
sir.
your life around. So sometimes young athletes with talent alone, they think talent alone will carry them. What did your experience teach you about discipline and decision making?
And I tell everybody, if I had to do it all over again, I would have put more. I would have put more effort in my academics than my jump shot and my dunk shot. So academics, and I tell everybody, sports only get you in the door, but academics take you beyond the door that you were getting into. So if I had to do it again, I would make sure that as much time as I gave on the basketball court, I would have gave that same time with my books. I used to travel all over the city to find a pickup game, to play in these tournaments. I wish I would have did the same thing with my academics. I did not take academics serious. I thought that, hey, I'm the best basketball player. There ain't nobody better than me. But when you go to that next level, it's always going to be somebody better than you. It's always going to be somebody taller than you. It's always going to be somebody. But my thing is, I always tell any group of students that I talk to, man, they can never take away what's inside of here. What's inside your head? If you go to prison, they give you a number. They don't even use your name, but they cannot erase what you have in your mind. What's inside your head, you can never erase it. And that's what I preach about. I preach on academics. Take your academics serious. So if I had to do it all over again, I would really focus on academics.
It's amazing you say that, man, because I get the chance to talk to a lot of D1 athletes, guys that made it to the NBA, and they say the same thing. They say, hey, guys, I want you guys to go ahead and focus on your academics, even though you may be able to make it to the NBA or the NFL. Focus on your academics. So that's
Yeah.
amazing that you say that. So what if we got some of these young kids or young athletes that are hanging around with the wrong influences? What kind of advice would you give those kids?
So first of all, when I came up, our neighborhood guys protected our athletes. Just like I protected my brother. I was my younger brother. I was in some things that I would never let my brother partake in. You know, I was like, no, little brother, you stay on the porch. And so I know we always want to say, hey, man, I'm hood tight, man. That's my neighborhood. But sometimes you do outgrow people and you outgrow things. So I always tell any young person that I talk to and speak to, first of all, if we ride in a car, I'm gonna ask you, is there anything in this car that shouldn't be in this car? You know, because so many of our young men are going to prison due to the fact that they're in a car with guns, drugs, or they're going somewhere that they didn't actually know what was taking place. So make sure, hey, like on that movie, hey, sometimes you got to say, stop the car. Hey, let me, let me out, Doe. You got to sometimes you got to get out the car. Yeah. You got to get out the car. But you have to have somebody around you that's going to say, hey, man, this is not for you. You have, if those folks in the street say they love you, they're going to protect you. So they're going to say, hey, man, you need to go on home. Man, I need you to focus on basketball. You our gold ticket out of here. So I tell everybody, when I first came into the school system, my principal told me, hey, to all my new teachers, I know you just getting out of college. I know you want to still party and have a good time. But she said, only thing I ask you to do one thing. If you go somewhere and you don't see nobody else in that room that's a teacher, that's a place that you don't need to be. And I tell all my students, if you're an athlete and you go somewhere and you don't see any other athletes in the room, that's not the room you need to be in, because like-minded people gonna be with like-minded people. So I'm gonna go places where people have the same ideals and the same drive that I have. So if I'm in a room and I don't see anybody that's in education or no politicians in that room, man, I might have to bag up out that room. I'm gonna have to leave.
Man, that's great advice. Great advice, man. And I'll definitely use that for me and my coworkers also. Great advice, man. Great advice. So I know a lot of people like to talk about crime a lot, and I know that you try to make curtailing crime a priority.
Yes.
So what kind of concerns you the most when we start talking about crime in our city?
So what concerns me the most that how much crime is not reported here in the city of Montgomery. We have so many. I got multiple calls probably 2 days ago of high-powered guns being shot. But when I'm like, hey, where are they coming from? Nobody can tell me, but I know it's somebody that's next door to somebody they in the backyard shooting their gun. So, and I tell my folks, the small thing turned into bigger things. So if you don't report the small things, when something big is reported, are you going to report those same things? So the biggest thing about crime, we have to work together. We need to not allow things in our neighborhoods that we wouldn't want to see or we don't want next door to us. I definitely wouldn't want anybody doing illegal, whether they're fixing on cars, having a mechanic shop, having a dog fighting the ring, rooster fighting. I wouldn't want any of that in my neighborhood. So I am going to do my part to contact whoever I need to contact without them giving my name. If I could be anonymous and saying that, hey, Mr. Davis is doing this, but don't let Mr. Davis know I told you. We don't do that anymore. We don't know our neighbors. We're not trying to get to know our neighbors. So when we come home, we shut our door. Whatever they doing across the street or next door, they don't have nothing to do with me. And we have to change that mentality.
Awesome, man. That's a great idea that you come up with. And I was just wondering, I'll ask you that now. Are there any programs or things that will try to bring the community together that you might be working on or that you know of that, that might help the community kind of bring themselves together a little bit?
So what I'm doing, we're reopening Reese Park Community Center. I'm hoping that before we close, I used to have a trainer to come in for my senior citizens. We're doing be the first time in the city of Montgomery, we putting together a midnight run. It's going to be a pilot that we're going to go after those individuals between the 18 and 24 years old. One Saturday out of the month that we're going to probably start from like 10 o'clock to 2 in the morning. Give them an opportunity to either play pickup or we'll do a lead. But we're giving them a safe haven. Because everybody don't want to be in the streets. They want something constructive to do, somewhere to go that they feel safe, that it's a no gun, no drug, it's hands off. No matter what side of town you go, whatever beef you got with them from 10 to 2, it's not going to happen here. So we're doing everything we possibly can to bring the district together. Same thing with the city. We're doing everything to kind of bring the city together because the mayor talked about inclusion. So we're doing some things. I'm working on a new city flag. That city flag should be coming out in about 30 days. We're kind of changing it to represent and include the entire city of Montgomery. I know people always say, "Oh, they're changing." We with this flag, we are not changing history. We're just adding history to and making sure that everybody represented in this flag that we are redesigning.
Awesome, man. That is an awesome thing. So I do want to ask you about some of the families that might be worried about safety. Do you have any encouraging words about some of the families might be worried about safety in the city of Montgomery?
So Montgomery is most of our crimes are not sporadic or they're more domestic. They're not random. It's not like anybody is just randomly, going around, shooting individuals. So that's the biggest issue that we're dealing with: domestic violence. That individuals know each other that are shooting, killing, stabbing one another. So we have to do more conflict resolution, and that's why I want some of these nonprofits to be inside the school. So we can, and I wish we can create a curriculum that every student have a conflict resolution class. I think that's something that's needed because sometimes we are not equipped to deal with certain situations outside of being angry, outside of picking up a gun, picking up a weapon, thinking that this is how you resolve your differences between two individuals. So we first of all, we have to talk to our children. Tell them that, you can be a man by walking away. And we think that because I'm walking away, I'm soft, or I'm walking away because I'm afraid. My thing is, it takes more of a man to walk away than stay. Yes, and that's why I've been trying to teach for the longest that, it's all right to walk away. So, and that's what we have to talk to our children about. I know everybody say, "Oh, if somebody hit my child, they need to hit them back." That's old teaching. First of all, I tell my children, don't put yourself in a situation that somebody wants to hit you or that you see if a situation is about to be violent, so walk away. It's all right to tell an adult. It's all right to say, "You know what? Hey, you win. Yeah, I'm done." So we have to talk to them because first of all, guns are so easy to get down south. You go up north, they have some of the hardest gun charges. But down south, everybody, you can get a gun on any corner, any alley, any street, any neighborhood. And so we have to change that. We got to change the mindset that I have to resolve my differences with you with a gun. So those are the conversations that parents need to have. And parents need to, like Darryl Bailey used to say, the district attorney, how you don't know what your child have in their book bag, in their closet, checking their social media pages. So a lot of that, and We cannot govern parenting. You know, I can make all the ordinances in the world about you being a better parent, but the only way that you're going to change, you have to see that part. And a lot of us don't get to see good parents. And so that's why when we refer kids, we refer them to parenting classes for the parent and the student. And sometimes it helps and sometimes it doesn't, but we have to have another avenue outside of picking up a gun.
Awesome, man. That is awesome words of encouragement. I do want to ask you, I know you have challenges while you're working as a councilman and, working with education. So what motivates you to keep serving the city of Montgomery?
Man, I love people. Man, when I get a young man that text me or inbox me, say, Mr. Mitchell, we have nothing to do in my neighborhood. Can you put a basketball court out here? And I said, if he had the wherewithal to contact me to find out who his city council person is and ask for a basketball court, because he said we can't walk all the way across. I said, you know what? I got to make this happen. And so once you make that happen, and that same individual, you just happen to be at that basketball court and he's up there shooting basketball, and you see the joy and the smiles that you get from serving people. So I have always been a people person. I always love to serve. And the enjoyment that I get when I'm able to help somebody out, when I'm able to be a voice for those individuals that feel like don't nobody speak up for them or nobody's down at City Hall fighting for them. So that's the enjoyment I get when I see people smiling and they say, hey, Mr. Mitchell, I appreciate what you did.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. So what changes would you like to see in the next 5 years as you being a councilman? What changes would you like to see?
Man, I would like to see more younger people into politics. I think that the average age right now in the city council probably be 55. And my goal was to only do 3 terms. Hopefully God allow me and the people allow me one more term. And I don't want to be so far removed from the age that I'm representing. At that time, in 4 more years, I'll be almost 60. So the age gap between myself and somebody that's 18 that's voting will be large. And so I never want to be in a situation that I'm so far disconnected from the individuals that I'm representing, and that is young people. And that's what I want to see. I want to see more young people get involved in politics. They are the future. They're more savvy when it comes to technology. AI is around the corner. So we got to make sure that we are prepared, and we got to go into the future with some leaders that can be savvy enough to take us to the next level.
Awesome. Now, to those young people that you talk about, going into politics and things of that nature, how do you balance your personal life and your public service life? Because that's what a lot of people say. They say, well, I would like to get into politics, but I don't want to give up my personal life.
It depends on, you just have to know how much you want to let people in. You have to, just like with anything, sometimes you have to tell people, hey, I'm busy. Because let me tell you a funny story. It was a Sunday, and everybody knows Sunday is the Sabbath day, the day that you're supposed to rest. Lady called me. It's like, hey, my trash wasn't picked up. She said, my trash wasn't picked up. It's still out here. I said, ma'am, today is Sunday. Today is the day that I want to rest. That lady created she posted on Facebook, like, hey, our councilman said he don't work on Sundays. But I mean, and that's the type of thing. And, you have to just let people know that, hey, listen, it's nothing I can do for you. The trash don't run. It's nobody I can call for you on a Sunday. And I explained to her, if you call me Monday, I make sure that trash get picked up. But you talking to me today? And sometimes you have to let people know that, hey, listen, I do have a life too. And I want to spend time with my family, because as a politician, you're going to share your time with your family. It's going to be situations that, you're going to be pulled away from the dinner table, You're going to have to leave to address some things because I have maybe 15 neighborhood associations. Those neighborhood associations have a meeting every month. And so I try to make those meetings every time they have a meeting. So you're talking about if I have 15 neighborhoods, like say 8 of them are having a meeting every month. So you're talking about from the jump, hey, I got 8 meetings to go to outside a city council meeting and any other meeting. So it's a daunting task, but you just got to know how to multitask. That's why I say young people they know how to get in their calendar and say, hey, put on their phone, do not disturb. Hey, after 8 o'clock, I'm not taking no more calls until 9 o'clock the next morning. But like I said, you have to be a people person. No matter what time you call me, I'm always going to greet you with a smile. Yes, sir. Is anything you're never going to see me with oh man, hey man, what you calling me for? I'm always going to be like, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And just like with your social media, you just got to know how much of your personal life do you want folks involved in. I don't post a whole lot of personal stuff on my page. I post most things like my events that I'm having. And I just let a small fraction of my personal life onto social media.
Awesome. That's great advice. Great advice. So what is the biggest lesson leadership has taught you while being, a councilman and being a part of education? What is one of the biggest lessons in leadership you've learned?
The biggest lesson in leadership I learned is relationships. You can't get anything done in politics without relationships. We talk about Republicans and Democrats, but if you can't work across the aisles, you would never get anything done. Hold on one sec. Hold on. I do apologize, Salesman. So if you can't work across the aisles, you can't get anything done. So an individual saying that, hey, I'm gonna get this done, I'm gonna get that done. If you partisan, you can't get anything done. So relationships. So I have the best relationship with Alabama Power, Waterworks, anything that I need to be done, I can call those relationships and I can get some things done. So that's the biggest thing is you have to have good relationship with people.
Man, that's awesome. Awesome advice, man. I do want to ask you another question about maybe some people have you misconceived. What is the biggest misconception about you?
I'm an introvert. Man, people, I love people, but I'm an introvert. Man, I like staying at home. I don't like big crowds. I just like staying at home, man. I'm a homebound person. I just like staying at home. I enjoy my time out. I do enjoy it. But everybody know if you invite me somewhere, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna give you my 15 minutes. After my 15 minutes, I'll come like, Mr. Davis. Hey man, thank you for inviting me. I'm about to get ready to go. Yeah. So like I said, I'm an introvert, man. I just love quiet spaces, quiet places. But like I said, I love people though. So that's the weird thing about it.
Oh man, that is awesome, man. I would have never thought that, man. Another thing I'd like to ask you is what would your message be to some of our educators? What could we do to try to make a difference?
Man, your passion. Man, we have a love for these students, and people don't understand how we take these students home with us. As a teacher, as an educator, it breaks my heart to look at the TV and see a student that was in my class or a student that I may have encountered, because I'm always saying, was there anything that I could have done better as that student's teacher? So we take these, man, people don't understand how we take these students. Literally, I have adopted multiple kids. To this day, I still have them calling me, whether they are incarcerated, whether they need a reference for a job, whether I see them out on the street somewhere, we take these kids home. And it's not a teacher that I hadn't encountered that when one of their students get in trouble, it don't break their heart. Because we have seen those students at their best, at their when they were small, when they was listening. And it's some students that that say, hey, little Johnny gonna be locked up before such and such. But it's some kids that you would never figured that would have gotten into the type of trouble that they have gotten in. So, our heart is heavy when it comes to being an educator and the kids that we encounter, because I want to save them. And people are like, man, you can't save them all. As a teacher, I have to say I can save them all. As a teacher, I'm never going to go in and say, I have 30 kids in my class and I can't educate all 30. I can't have all 30 on grade level. That's not the mentality I have as a teacher. I go in my class, when I used to go in my classroom, I'm like, hey, I have 17 students. All 17 students need to master whatever we doing before they leave my classroom. I'm not going in there saying, well, I can't save them all, so I'm only going to save 2 of them. Nah, that's so as a teacher, man, we have the biggest hearts because we will give kids, hey, it's a kid that don't have money to go on the field trip. Here you go. It's a kid that don't have snack today. Hey, you can get my snack. So as a teacher, we are the most giving and the most forgiving people on this earth, because you have to forgive your student, because one day your student might have just a bad day, come in and just cuss you out. And you have to be like, hey, it's just a bad day. And then tomorrow that kid come in and, hey, I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell, I was just having a bad day at home. Okay, let's start over. Let's get back to it. But if I had a grudge, all right, man, I ain't helping that kid. And so like I said, people don't understand what we go through as being classroom teachers.
That's so true. So true. True words there, man. I do want to ask you, I know you talked about, maybe just running another third term. So I like to ask you, what's next for you? Even though you run that third term, what do you got in plan, man? A lot of people speculating. What do you got in plans?
I just want to be a regular guy after my third year, man. I have been in the limelight my entire life. I just want to, like I said, after my third term, I had my 20 years with Montgomery Public School System. Education is my first love. At one time, my brother and I was talking about doing a all boys school, which the Brock brothers have done. But education will always be my first priority. If I can find something on the collegiate or the 2-year college, I would love to, because like I said, my master's is in early childhood. I have 2 classes outside of my leadership that I need to go back and finish, but politics, I kind of put that to the side. So I want to finish some of the things that I started, and my last goal was to get my second master's. And I would like to see myself actually back in the educational arena in some form or fashion, whether it be a nonprofit organization that mentor kids, because I believe in reentry. The city of Montgomery don't have a reentry program for our juveniles. When they're coming from Mount Meigs and say parents say, hey, I don't want you back at my house, I'm done with you. Where do those juveniles go? Who do they turn to? So I want to get something. I want to get a group home for boys that's being released from either the youth facility or Mount Meigs juvenile facility, and just help them. Job placement, education, and that's my ultimate goal. I want to get a boys home that actually help those individuals get back on their feet.
Oh man, that is amazing, man. That is amazing. I do want to ask you about a few things. So what role has faith played in your leadership?
Oh man, that's funny that you asked. I had everything in my life outside a spiritual leader. I just met this pastor, Rod Robinson, at Revelation. Man, he has been awesome. He has been guiding me, telling me what's right, because we all do the same thing, surround ourselves with people that's just not going to be just all the way truthful with us when we're doing right or when we're doing wrong. But with my spiritual leader, when I need something and he tell me I'm doing something wrong, he's going to back it up with scripture. So he said, hey, this ain't nothing I'm telling you. This is from the Bible. So it has been a wonderful journey for me. And it's been something new. And I'm happy. I have been in the church my entire life, but just having a spiritual leader that I can just directly connect with, it's been an awesome journey so far.
Awesome. A lot of people talk about mentorship for Black youth. How important is that for you?
It's very important because, like I said, I had my father in my life, my entire life to this day. I just left my dad's house. When I do these due process hearings, I have done probably about 700 hearings, and out of those 700 hearings, probably 1% fathers or male figures are actually in those hearings. So that is, you're talking about 7, maybe 10 parents male parents out of 700 hearings. So we have to have that mentorship with some positive male figures, not only males, but also females. I have encountered some situations. Mom said, hey, I can't do anything with my daughter. I have already called out to juvenile court and they said they can't do anything with her, do anything with him until they get in trouble. So we have to lean on these nonprofit and also these churches to get involved with being good mentors.
Awesome, man. That is awesome. So we look at social media as I wrap this thing up. Social media and their influence on youth. What do you think about the role that social media is playing with our youth these day and ages?
Oh man, you're talking about there's good content and then there's not so good content. And we just have to monitor as parents. We just got to monitor, just like with anything. Too much of anything is not good. Because I love me a TikTok. And that's what I connect when I go to these schools, these kids be like, hey, that's Mr. Mitchell here on TikTok. Let me do a TikTok. So it's engaging. That's how I connect with those students when I go in, hey, come on, do a TikTok with me. And they be, hey, Mr. Mitchell, we got the TikTok. But I try to limit my granddaughter's time on social media. Because like I said, it's at your fingertips. Everything has a sexual overtone in it. So you got to make sure with our popular music is, hey, like Salt and Pepper say, let's talk about sex, baby. Everything now is even on TV, even on your local channels. So we have to just monitor how much TV, how much social media. These kids are savvy enough to create these accounts that they think their parents can't find or don't know. You have to be careful with roadblock, and that's how a lot of these predators are getting close to our children and able to lure them away from home. We have had multiple runaways this year from schools due to these same matters. So I try to work closely with Crime Stopper, Tony Garrett. He does a wonderful job. And so these are some of the things that we are seeing, that these predators are going through these social media sites to friend these young adults.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that information. I do want to wrap it up with one last question. This is the What If Show. So I do want to ask you this. What if the city of Montgomery fully invested in their youth as far as schools, as far as educational programs in 10 years? What would the city of Montgomery look like?
Huntsville.
Wow.
We would have the NASA. We will look and thrive like Huntsville is thriving. When you see a city that school system is thriving, you see that people don't mind paying their ad valorem taxes to help school, man, you're gonna have a Huntsville. That's what you will see how Huntsville. You see the minimum wage in Huntsville, the minimum salaries of household incomes in Huntsville. Huntsville is growing. That is a place that everybody is trying to be. And I tell everybody, education will erase crime. With education, you have better jobs. You have better employment. You have better wages. So if you look at the medium household income in Huntsville, and you look at their homicide rate, you will be like, and you look at how Huntsville is growing and what all Fortune 500 businesses are coming to Huntsville. If Montgomery was to invest in their school system in their youth, you will see Montgomery flourish like never seen before.
Wow, that is amazing, man. And I really appreciate you, man, for coming to my show, man, and giving this advice and information that you've given, man. It's such a valuable jewel, man. I really appreciate this. Maybe hopefully sometimes in the future, I get you to come back.
Yes, sir.
I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Anything you need from me, appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
I got Councilman Mitchell here with the What If Show, guys. Please like and subscribe to the What If Show. Thank you so much, guys. All right.